Who here has a pension?
Oh, I don't have a
Right?
How
Two?
many?
Yep, pension.
Wow.
3 people out of the group. Okay, that's about right. Most of us aren't going to have pensions. Who even knows what a pension is?
It's something we get from working for the railroad.
Yeah.
It's something a lot of people had before 2008.
Yeah.
Preface that.
And then it was taken from them. Yeah.
Lost
Well,
or taken.
as I say every week, you know, the number one thing is, as far as I'm concerned about financial planning, is solving this idea of your pension. We call it a personal pension plan. The problem with most people that don't work for a city or a fire department, etc., is when they retire, they can't retire. And you just have to keep on working. And, you know, work is not a bad thing. That's not my point. My point is, if you don't have a guaranteed percentage of income, then you have to recreate that yourself. So there's a lot of programs out there that I'm going to give you 5 examples of different ages of a couple of different programs that we have that help people develop personal pensions. Now, there's a lot of things you can do with your money. Obviously, if you spend it all or you're in debt, there's nothing you can do with your money other than pay off debt, which is the first thing you should do with your money. But once you're not terribly in debt, then you really need to have a plan that doesn't just grow your money. Growing your money for just the sake of growing it is fine, but not if it doesn't create income. The problem with our parents or our grandparents is the average age, when Social Security was created, for example, the average age of life expectancy past retirement was 3 years. People retired, 3 years later they died. Who needs to worry about Social Security? You know, pension. And back then they had pensions. Why do you think companies didn't have to worry about them that much? Okay? Today, the average life expectancy is significantly higher. If you think, I take my Juice Plus, okay? I don't smoke, you know? Okay, I'm overweight, but not terribly so. Okay, give me that anyways.
Over here.
You know, so, yeah, exactly.
Over here. Yeah.
The point is simple. You don't want to outlive your money. You don't want to be a burden to your children and your grandchildren, both of which will happen if you don't take care of your money today and you don't have a plan that works. It's one thing to have a plan, but if results aren't what it's all about, then you just have a plan, and by the time you get to 65, the statistics of today by the Social Security Board is that only 4 people out of 100 today are retiring with more than $50,000 of guaranteed income. 4. 26 have died, so they don't need it. Okay? So the remaining people, it's not working. If you were rich or you were born rich, that's one thing. But for us mere mortals here, you need to do something for yourself. It has to work. It has to create income that you can count on. For example, you know, by the way, Ross Perot, I've mentioned this to you before. It's worth repeating. I repeat it all the time. I love it. Ross Perot's philosophy: save at least 10% of your money on a regular basis. Give away 10% of your money on a regular basis and live 1 year behind your means. If you do that, you're a long way down the road to success 20, 30, 35, 40 years later. So I love Ross Perot's philosophy. It's very conservative. A 30-year-old setting aside their $5,000 a year IRA-like contribution. Everybody says the first thing you ought to do is at least take advantage of your $5,000 or $6,000 if you're 50 or older IRA contribution. A 30-year-old in a program that I like a lot, setting aside $5,000 a year, they're gainfully employed. You know, come April, they're deciding, okay, I'm going to put my $5,000 in something, or they're doing it on a monthly basis, $400 a month, whatever the case may be. A 30-year-old in a program I've got that separates how the money goes. It's measured by 35% in Dow Jones, 35% Barclays Capital Bond Index, 20% in the Euro Stoxx 50, and 10% in the Russell 2000. That program, if a 30-year-old was setting $5,000 a year, and this 30-year-old had it 25 years ago, in the last 25 years, that would produce today $80,000 a year of tax-free income for the rest of his life. Now, dummying that down, and let's say the next 25 years aren't as good as the last 25, which I don't predict they will be, even though the last 25's had some pretty, horrific things happen to us, with 3 major crashes. Conservatively speaking, it would generate $50,000 of tax-free income. Now, to generate $50,000 of tax-free income at the age of 65, if it was a traditional IRA or any other investment, you'd have to generate about how much? About 80 grand in that 50, right? Because Uncle Sam wants his money. So one thing that I always tell people is if you can generate any tax-free income, that's best. You can't do that with all your money. This is just one program. That was a 30-year-old. So those of us who are not 30 anymore, we don't have that advantage. That's the beautiful thing about a 30-year-old who's preparing for the next 35 years. But we have children. We have friends with children. We have good friends who are much younger. Okay, a 40-year-old doing the exact same thing, $5,000 a year, would generate at 65 about $23,000 of tax-free income, conservatively. About $35,000 if the last 25 years, the next 25 years measure against the last 25 years. These programs are fantastic. They're very conservative. They work. They'll generate. They grow tax deferred, and they're after-tax money. So that $5,000, by the way, that 30-year-old's sitting on is not writing it off. He's going to pay taxes on the seed so he can save on the harvest. Another important fact that you want to take advantage of with some of your money. A 41-year-old just recently is a client of mine, one of my agents. I helped him sell this particular product. Is setting aside $1,000 a month. 41 years old, $12,000 a year. That sounds like a lot of money, $1,000 a month, but that's 10% of his income. Remember what Ross Perot said? Do something with at least 10% of your income. Actually, that's less than 10% of this guy's income. Okay? So, and I don't believe that you should put all your money in any one thing. I think you should be diverse. This 40-year-old at $12,000 at age 65 will create conservatively about $50,000 of tax-free income every year. What if he lives to the age of 90? All right? That's what we're after. I want to help you create, you or your children or your friends or your neighbors or your associates, tax-free income if I can. All right? Can't always do that. If the next 25 is like the last 25, this particular 41-year-old's $12,000 a year will generate about $75,000 a year. Tax-free. What does he have to make to net 75? Okay? Again, these programs, and by the way, a 41-year-old who's self-employed, I said, are you willing to stretch this out to 70? You know, 70 is the new 65, and probably going to be so come Social Security as well. You know, they're going to keep pushing that number out there. But I always tell people, look, if you retire at 70, that same program at $12,000 a month, if he retires just 5 years later,
$12,000 a year?
At $12,000 a year, rather, excuse me, $1,000 a month. At age 70, it'll generate $113,000 of tax-free income a month. That extra 5 years is substantial, right? That is a year. Sorry.
I'm like, woo!
We should all sign up for that, right? $113,000 a year. All right, tax-free income. These are real programs that you can take advantage of, but you have to get started at whatever level. Look, my mother retired. My dad died at 66. My mom lived 86. Even an extra $500 a month for her would have been substantial. Anything you can do to create income at whatever level will be substantial, trust me. It'll be relative to whatever life stage you're at and what you need. A 60-year-old, okay, now you already have a chunk of money in your IRA. How am I doing on time? Okay, thank you. A 60-year-old, $200,000 in their IRA, and they're going to retire at 70. So what do they do with that $200,000 that's already in their IRA? Okay, it's already pre-tax money, all right? We could roll it right now into a program that age 70 would generate $22,713.36 in guaranteed income a year at age 70. So 10 years on that $200,000 will generate $22,700 of income. Doesn't sound like a lot. Try to get $22,700 of income off your $200,000. That's guaranteed for life. That one's guaranteed. The other one is not guaranteed, but is ultra conservative, and I gave you both a conservative range to a actual performance range. Okay? A 40-year-old who has $100,000 in their IRA, previous employer, it's a rollover. They can't touch it. It's in their IRA. Pre-tax money. The 40-year-old with $100,000 at age 70 could generate $29,000 of guaranteed income off of it with this particular another program I'm talking about. That's pre-tax money. Now that money is going to be taxed when they pay. Nothing you can do about it. They've pre-taxed this money. Or it was a 401k rollover. Okay? Now they could, a 40-year-old could maybe make sense of paying the penalty and rolling it into a Roth, but that's another topic. So, you know, but again, what I'm talking about is there are programs that are conservative. There are certain slices of your savings and or current portfolio you should take a look at going the conservative route, because results will matter when you retire. Any questions?
What kind of companies do you use?
Well,
This is really important.
Well, generally speaking, the first couple of programs that I talked about were guaranteed products through insurance companies. And we're talking about companies that were around since pre-flight, okay? So think of what they've seen and how strong they are. Listen, we deal with A-plus companies always. Mega rich companies, cash strong companies. There is no guarantee or absolute in this world, but if you're going to have some program that you hope to count on, you would hope that the company or companies that back it have been around for a while and are cash rich. You know, one company I represent is 318 years old. Wow. And I'm thinking, what the heck were they doing 318 years ago? All right, very good. Thank you.